What's up, everybody? And welcome to another one of the live streams right here on the Slam Sessions. I'm your host, Albert Albanese. So, a couple of things that I wanted to kind of get out of the way early, when no one's watching, so that when people watch this back, at least, they'll get the main points off the top. So I kind of talked to everyone a little bit last week. Last time that I was on here about what's up, Kaito? How are you, man? How this year has been a little bit rough for me. Just to give a very brief recap, I got COVID in January. I then moved out in around March. Fully moved into my new apartment in around April. Got COVID in again for a second time this year. A couple of weeks ago, got over that. Had kidney stones. Got over that. Finally started feeling better, and then at the end of last week, I came down with a cold. So as you can hear, my voice isn't too great, but there's just been a whole bunch of stuff going on. So what's up, Base Up, Inigo Montoya? What's up, guys? Good to see you guys here. So there's been a whole bunch of things that have been going on in the wrestling world right now that I kind of wanted to talk about because, there's some major stuff that's been going on that I didn't get to address with you guys. So I kind of wanted to come on here and do it now. I'm going to let you guys know very early on this is not going to be long. My throat is still ridiculously sore, and as you can hear, it's actually almost to the point where it's almost nearly painful to actually speak. But with that being said, I still love you guys to the point where I wanted to come on and just say hey and kind of cover some stuff with you guys. Henny Powers, what's up, man? How are you? Base Up, I have honey cough drops, man. I've been going nuts on them. I bought NyQuil, trying to knock it out of my system. It's been rough. So after I'm done with this, I'm probably just going to relax for the rest of the night and not use my voice because I actually have to talk for a living. I'm a conference facilitator, so I literally have to talk for a living. So I can't lose my voice. So I'm going to try to just be a little bit restrained today. But I did want to come up here and talk to you guys about a bunch of different things. AJ Envoy, good to see you, man. So Base Up, let's start. Let's just F it. Let's just jump right into this shit, right? I don't know why I say F it. I always mark that this stream isn't for kids, so fuck it. Let's just jump right into things. Yeah, dude, it really is. It's bad. My throat's been sore for the past, I want to say, almost a week now. And I'm not even I'm congested, so it's not even anything is coming out of me. It's all just internal. It's in my head, and it's sitting right here, and it sucks. I'm not going to go that far, Base Up, but so let's dig into it. All right, so it's a new era, right? Let's start it off with this part of the Listen, Inigo Montoya, I will. And you guys have been with me since the beginning. You've been with me since I started with Dave. I like Sean Ross Sapp. Sean Ross Sapp is actually one of those guys that I've had differencing of opinions about things that he's said, and we've gone back and forth on Twitter a few times, and we've been respectful towards each other. I don't understand why. I mean, I understand why people might dislike him, but he doesn't go out there trying to start shit. He never blocked me. We had differences of opinions about wrestling, and we've been fine. When people start, saying that they hate him so much, they start saying racist and homophobic stuff, and then say they're going to punch you in the face when they see you, and immediately turn and walk the other way. I mean, you're just a bitch. And Sean Ross Sapp kind of proved that to everyone that, this Bill Batty guy is absolutely a bitch because Sean Ross Sapp had him back down immediately. So good for him. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, first and foremost, I still can't believe that we're living in a world right now where Vince McMahon is not the principal owner and operator and in charge of creative at WWE right now. It is nuts. And I know he's still technically the owner, but he's not involved in anything anymore. And I never thought I'd see this day. I think I've gone on record on this stream, on Dave's stream, anywhere that I've been, and I think I've said multiple times, I expected Vince to work until the day he died. Like, I expected Vince to die, like, with a pencil in his hand, trying to figure out which match was going to open Raw. Like, it's crazy to know that we live in this world right now where Vince McMahon is not the principal owner of WWE. It's a nuts situation. He's not in charge of creative. He's not doing anything. And, we've had a couple of shows now under the Triple H regime. And I know that it's funny because we started this off where I believe it was you, Base Up, who said that Triple H, that Dave isn't excited. And of course he's not. Dave hates Triple H. And I know that Dave liked NXT Black and Gold, but he had his issues with it. So I can't see Dave being too optimistic. And the thing is that, it's not Triple H by himself. Sure, he's the head of creative, but, and he's the head of talent relations, which we can obviously see. And Henny, I saw those too. I'm not going to speak on that much because I don't know. We'll see if it happens. Good for Triple H. If it doesn't, hey, we'll see. Basic Dave's always been that way. If you've noticed, noticed from the time where he started, he's always been that way. And I get it. I really do understand it. A lot of people don't get the hype on Triple H coming in and taking over creative. I think that Triple H can make very small changes that will benefit a lot of the more hardcore wrestling base. I don't think that's going to win anybody, any new viewers over. It's just, I think he's going to just do little things that satiate the current base while keeping that, that air of what Vince had. I mean, 7.4 million people on Twitter watched the clip of Logan Paul doing that frog splash to The Miz at SummerSlam. You gonna sit there and tell me that wasn't a smart move by WWE to bring in Logan Paul? I mean, you got to be stupid to think that wasn't the case. What a smart thing that Vince did by making, deals with these guys to get them into positions where they're going to get WWE get more eyes laid on them. If Triple H can keep that going while taking care of the other little things that wrestling fans have been clamoring for with WWE, I think the WWE will be fine. The thing that I don't understand now is the absolute unbelievable hatred, I'm sorry, not hatred, but lies that are being spewed since Triple H became the owner. And it has nothing to do with WWE. It has everything to do with AEW. I can't tell you how many people I've seen on Twitter say, WWE, Triple H comes in, does one little thing, and, all of a sudden, all the wrestling fans are all clamoring about it. Yes, he did something we liked, so everybody's happy about it. This whole crazy scenario that people are putting out there is saying that, oh, that's it. WWE's just going to get a free pass now. All they have to do is these little stupid things, and they're not as criticized as AEW is. Anytime AEW has something wrong, everybody criticizes. What planet do you live on? For 10 years on Twitter, all we've seen is basically every wrestling fan on Twitter say WWE sucks, their creative sucks, I hate everything they're doing. If they do one good thing, it'll be like, yeah, that was good, but the rest of the show sucked. Meanwhile, if it's an AEW show and there's one bad thing that happens, everybody else immediately comes out and says, oh my God, I can't believe you're criticizing AEW for this. This is absolutely terrible. They had one bad problem, one bad thing on the show. One thing goes wrong. Now everybody's saying that it's terrible and they cry their fucking eyes out. It's ridiculous. Stop with this shit. It's done and it's over and it's stupid. This toxicity of this fan base is absolutely the worst. And it's abhorrent to see someone like Kat Dennings, who I'm a huge fan of. I loved her in all the Marvel things. I followed her on Twitter for a while, and I see her talking about the WWE. And here we are, thinking this beautiful, talented actress. AJ, I was just about to say I had to slow down because I'm gonna hurt myself even more. But here's this absolutely unbelievably talented actress who just said, I discovered WWE. How cool is this? And the majority of the mentions are, WWE sucks. They're absolutely terrible. Go watch AEW instead. This is why there is a portion of the world who believes that wrestling fans are all nerd virgins who live in their basements. It's for shit like this. It's the legit. It's like the same thing as being a sports fan. When a woman comes up and says, oh, I like football. And instead of a guy being like, dude, that's super cool. Here's a cool chick who likes football. Let's get to know her and talk to her. No, the immediate reaction is, oh yeah, you like football? Who won the Super Bowl in 2012? Who was the MVP? Do you even know who this guy and this guy and this guy is? Dude, shut up. Like, you're making it worse for all of us. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and Inigo Montoya, yeah, they've done this all the time. Anytime anybody says it, like from like mainstream celebrities since AEW has been around, and even before this, if the mainstream celebrity says something along the lines of "I like WWE," it's like the whole world like ends. You should be happy that somebody that you like and respect from a completely different walk of life has the same interests as you. Isn't that cool? I mean, look, let's face it. It's not like anyone's going to sit here and be like, oh, she likes wrestling now. I'm going to slide into her DMs. She's engaged. It's not like anybody's going to win her over or anything like that. You're not going to sit next to her on the couch and watch Raw with her every week. Like, why do you think that the idea is that your immediate reaction has to be, oh my God, she likes wrestling, but she doesn't like the same wrestling as I do? I need to get her on the right track. Dude, WWE has been a gateway for almost every single wrestling fan that's ever been out there. I mean, how many of you guys in this chat right now can sit there and say that if it wasn't for WWE that you'd be a wrestling fan? There are some people that have said, hey, I watched WCW first. Hey, cool. More power to you. There are some people who've never liked the WWE product. And hey, if that's who you are, that's fine. But to sit there and to get mad about the fact that an actress likes something that you like but doesn't like the exact same thing that you like, I mean, come on, guys. Is there really any more ammunition that people need to hate pro wrestling fans than this? It just proves everybody's point. And AJ, you're 100% right. Look, my girlfriend isn't the biggest football fan in the world. But when she eventually moves into this apartment with me in a couple of months after, everything is, all set, she's going to have to understand that every Sunday football is going to be on TV. I have a cable box for 3 reasons. WWE Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, AEW Dynamite and sometimes Rampage when I feel like it, and NFL football. That's the reason why I have a cable box. Yeah, that's it. Like, she's going to understand that every Sunday I'm going to be watching the Jets. And she's either going to sit right here next to me and watch it with me, or she's going to go and do her own thing or go into the room and, watch her own stuff, whatever the case might be. But she's going to know that football's going to be on. She's been to football games before. She's watched it with me. And I think it's made our relationship stronger. Because that's just the way it is, base up. If she's going to watch any football, it's going to be the Jets. So AJ, I've only gone to one football game with Tamra, and they actually won. I've never been in person at a Jets game and seen them lose. They're undefeated with me in attendance. But that's the thing. And AJ, you're right. It's tribalism. And that's what makes this fan base toxic. It's ridiculous. Like, you would think that as of right now, this should be the best time to be a wrestling fan altogether. If you hated WWE under Vince McMahon and your mindset, and I know a lot of people's mindsets were like this, I never subscribe to this notion, but a lot of people's mindsets about this whole thing is once Vince McMahon is no longer the head of creative, WWE is going to turn a corner and get a lot better and be a lot more watchable. You've gotten that. Vince is gone. Triple H is in charge. This is what everybody wanted. And all we're doing is now comparing both shows. All I see is that SummerSlam was good, but Forbidden Door was better. First of all, I find it to be completely ridiculous that AEW gets away with not building any of their stories and just putting on dream matches, and everybody is like completely like goes absolutely crazy in there, like this is the best show ever. But if the WWE doesn't have a good build to a pay-per-view, it's like the world ends. It's just that the rules just only apply for certain companies, for whatever company that you like. The other thing is that, yes, I don't know about you guys, I thoroughly enjoyed SummerSlam on Saturday. Man, I had a blast watching it. I felt like shit. And I sat here the whole time, sat up on the edge of my seat watching the whole damn thing. I loved it all. I thought it was a great show. But let's not pretend that the last couple of pay-per-views the WWE has put on have all been met with, all right, maybe the build isn't that good, and maybe the lineup isn't that great, but man, the shows have all absolutely delivered. Yes, moments that we know Triple H had his fingerprint on, bringing back Dakota Kai, calling up Io Shirai, we know that was all a Triple H thing. But for the rest of the show, is there anything that shows that either Vince or Triple H booked it? No. It looked to be a typical WWE pay-per-view, which has been great over the past couple of months. What we're really going to have to see is how the TV shows are booked. And as of right now, on Raw, there are 2 triple threat matches for the number 1 contendership of the U.S. title, and there's the Mysterios versus the Usos for the tag titles. There are stakes in all 3 of those matches. And for me, if that's one thing that WWE brings back, stakes in matches, then I'm fine with it. I don't like the idea of the championship contenders matches, but by that same point, I did respect the fact that those matches weren't just champion versus challenger and there was nothing for it. At least we know that if the challenger wins their stakes at it, they can challenge for the title. I appreciate that. And AJ, you're 100% right with that. And you're 100% right. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say something like, oh, AEW, I didn't know WWE had another brand. Like professional wrestling is synonymous with WWE. That's just the way it is. And if you're a wrestling fan, you know all the different promotions. But if you're just a casual observer and the only thing you know about wrestling is just, oh, guys in their underwear that fight and hit each other with ladders, the only thing you know is WWE. You probably don't even know it's wrestling. You probably just know it's WWE. It's like when you were kids and you had a video game system, and it didn't matter what video game system you had. It was, and my mom is absolutely guilty of this. Albert, stop playing Nintendo. I'm sitting there playing a friggin' Xbox 360. I hadn't owned a Nintendo system, since the friggin' what's it called? Nintendo 64, but it was always Nintendo to my mom. Just like WWE is always WWE to anything when it comes to pro wrestling. It's just the way it is. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The good thing is that you can take the WWE and you can watch it, and then you can go and you can watch these other promotions, and maybe they give you what you want. See, Henny Powers, I fully enjoyed it. I liked the entire show. There wasn't anything on there that I disliked. And hey, liking things is absolutely subjective. And if you feel that it was decent to you, that's great. That's awesome. That's your opinion. And there are definitely things that probably resonated more with me that didn't resonate with you. And that's okay. That's totally fine. We're fans. We don't have to like everything. But this notion that we have to start putting down the WWE and the comparisons are now starting. Oh, SummerSlam was good, but Forbidden Door was better. Who gives a shit? I don't. I didn't order Forbidden Door. I had zero care about Forbidden Door, except for the fact that I'm still upset that I missed the Cesaro debut. I also, as much as I love Cesaro, couldn't bring myself to order the Ring of Honor pay-per-view either. There just wasn't enough there that made me want to spend my money on it. And I'm sorry if that's, offensive to people or whatever, but that's just the way that I felt. But I watch Dynamite every single week. Every single week, I don't miss it. I love AEW Dynamite. But that also doesn't mean that I'm going to watch everything. It's very easy for me to watch every WWE pay-per-view. I pay $10 a month, and I get them every single month. I like that. It's easy for me. If AEW did the same thing, I would 110% do that for AEW as well. But you see, based up, I feel that you're right, but in another way, look at wrestling Twitter. It's skewed to such a younger audience. Most of these people with these large accounts are anywhere between like 16 and 25. Most of them weren't even around for the Monday Night Wars. What happened is that a lot of these people have grown up now as internet wrestling fans. And all they see is everybody bashing the WWE. So their immediate reaction is, well, if everybody else hates it, I got to hate it too. No one has an original thought in their head anymore. And all the more popular wrestling YouTube channels outside of Dave's are all mostly anti-WWE channels. Look at the top guys that are out there right now. Sweet. What's up, bro? How are you? Good to see you. But let's put this into perspective here. I lost my train of thought. Sweep got here, and I got so excited that I completely fell off my train of thought. But look. At the end of the day, wrestling fans are gonna, that's where I was at. So a lot of these people, now get more hits about making fun of pro wrestling. WWE, or shitting on their creative than anybody does by being positive. You have that moron JD. You have, let's face it, Meltzer and Alvarez almost never have anything positive to say. That, Inigo Montoya, that is old school right now. I can't tell you how many Twitter accounts I'm like, take me back, and it's something from like 2002. Now, remember, that was 20 fucking years ago at this point, which is crazy, because I think it's 20 years ago, and I'm thinking Austin's marching down to the ring, and it's not. Austin's gone 20 years ago. That's the crazy part. But, at the end of the day, all these people, like that criticize WWE and talk about how they don't like the product are the ones that are getting likes. Look, my channel is, notoriously more positive. The only people I hate when it comes to pro wrestling is its fans. I love both products. It's very rare you hear me say anything negative about AEW or WWE because I've gotten to the point where I was these guys. Guys, 20 years ago, I was just like JD. I was an asshole. I was sitting there on MySpace. Yes, that's right. I'm that fucking old. In 2 weeks, I'll be 37 years old. I'm that old. On MySpace, I was complaining about the pushes that John Cena was getting. In 2008, I almost stood up and walked out of the Royal Rumble because John Cena made his return. I was that much of a smart. And I look back at it and I think to myself, you remember how angry you got at pro wrestling? Why? Like, I've grown up and I've realized it's not all about me. And they're not going to cater to me. And they're a publicly traded company. Well, happy early birthday, Sweet. So you guys are all, a lot of you guys are more, okay, so AJ, you said that you were a kid during the Ruthless Aggression era. So we have like a consensus of a good amount of like a time where people became wrestling fans. But the thing is that I grew up so much in becoming a wrestling fan. I probably talked about this, but there was a specific incident with a specific person who I won't name because they don't deserve it and I don't care about them, where they ripped on John Cena and was like, I don't care how many people how good he does for Make-A-Wish. He should be in the world title picture. I don't give a shit what he does for kids. And I went, oh, I'm on this guy's side? Oh, no, I'll never be on this guy's side again. And that's why I stopped. I stopped, heavily criticizing the product, and I stopped being so toxic, and I just took what they were giving me and enjoyed it for what it was. At the end of the day, as wrestling fans, we've been given a lot of shit. And look, that's not sitting here and saying, exactly, Sweet. But we're not sitting here and saying that, well, so there you go. Inigo Montoya, look, and look, you became a fan during the New Generation era? Dude, I was 3 years old. I was sitting there putting in VHS tapes of WrestleManias 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And, I was an 80s wrestling. Like, I became a wrestling fan on old 80s wrestling. I was watching the current products, and then my dad, thank God for him, recording every pay-per-view. I sat there and popped in those tapes and watched every single thing. Richard Lee, what's up, buddy? How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. But you're right. As fans, we should try to do better. When someone has an opinion about something, it's so okay to just be like, I respect your opinion, but I disagree. That's okay. But to actively dump on people for their opinions and to tell them that they're wrong and to start fights on the internet about wrestling, man, it's just not worth it. So you're right, AJ. I won't tell him anything. Don't worry. Your secret's safe with me. You'll be 59 the next time we're all together. Don't worry. So that's awesome, Sweep. Like, I grew up on both. My dad actually, and there's one day I do want to sit down with him and actually interview him for this channel. I think it would just be fun because he's been a wrestling fan ever since he was a kid. And he is the definition of a casual wrestling fan. My dad never looks up rumors on the internet. And, even like during the times where he was really big into it, like the 80s era, up to the Attitude Era. My dad watched Raw and Nitro every week with me. We would sit there and flip back and forth. Hulkamania, base up. Hulkamania to the max. I mean, I didn't like Hogan, but yeah, I was a Hulkamania kid. I grew up during that era. And I watched every single week from when I was 3. And I don't think I've missed an episode of whatever WWE was on, whether it was Primetime, Superstars, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown. Like, I've seen almost every single thing that they've done since I was a kid. I love professional wrestling. I love the WWE. And I'm not sit here to be ashamed to say it. And that's what everybody else is. They're all ashamed to admit that they actually enjoy it. And see, that's awesome, AJ. Look, the one thing, like, me and my dad don't usually get along. By the way, thanks for the likes, guys. Appreciate it. Me and my dad don't get along about a lot of things, but man, about pro wrestling, holy crap, man. That was like our biggest, like the biggest thing. The pro wrestling and the New York Yankees were the biggest thing that we bonded over. We would sit there and watch every single week. And if my dad had to get up early to go to work, I would call him at work the next day when, on his office phone and be like, when you fell asleep, you know what happened on Raw last night? That was like, I was excited to be a wrestling fan back then. It was a good time to be a wrestling fan. Now I feel like it's the same thing because a lot of the people that are wrestling fans are like my age and they all, have kids. Not me, but most of them have kids. And I love seeing I went to, SmackDown, the first SmackDown that WWE was back to a live audience in Madison Square Garden. And, I loved seeing, all these kids walking around with their parents and so excited. Their parents were excited. And their parents were wearing Roman Reigns shirts because their kids were wearing Roman Reigns shirts. And they didn't care about the booking. And they didn't care about who was on top. Man, they just wanted to come to a show, see their favorites, react, and have a good time. And man, so many kids were doing that when I went to SmackDown. It was so fun to watch. That's what it's about. And it's not about the WWE trying to skew their product to be edgier and stuff like that. For us, they should keep doing what they're doing, engaging these kids, because they're the ones who are going to keep watching wrestling after we're gone. Because I don't have any kids. Oh, the internet made wrestling 2 billion times worse. I can't tell you how many times I've heard things from wrestling fans like, there are no fucking surprises in wrestling anymore. There are no surprises. You are on Twitter 8 hours a day and you're paying for Fightful or you're paying for the Wrestling Observer. Of course there's no surprises. You're actively seeking out every single thing that's going on. So there can't be surprises. The internet is so great, man. I interacted with Freddie Prinze Jr. the other day on Twitter. So cool. Like, I've been a Freddie Prinze Jr. fan since I was a kid. And he mentions me back on Twitter after, commenting on something. I've interacted with so many pro wrestlers. Chris Jericho on multiple occasions. So many other people on there. And it's super cool. But then the ugly part of the internet rears its head, and everybody thinks that they know what's the best thing ever to happen on the internet. In wrestling, and that their opinion is better than everybody else's. These accounts are the worst things that ever happened. And the worst part is that people sitting there and trying to get other people in trouble, trying to discredit them, trying to get people banned off of Twitter by making up things that they've said. It's disgusting. The internet has ruined people's lives. The Velveteen Dream was never, sweet, what the hell do you have against Freddie Prinze Jr.? Like, damn. But, the Velveteen Dream will never have a career in wrestling anymore because of allegations that were made falsely against him because they were never proven to be true. And now he might not ever wrestle again because the internet had its own preconceived notions about it. Meanwhile, the same allegations were made against Darby Allin and no one says anything. Do we understand where this goes? Why is it okay that certain people have allegations against them and they have to get run out of the entire wrestling business and other people do and they get away scot-free? Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Okay, sweet. I mean, whatever. That's fine. I always liked him. So, and he powers I am too. I keep joking with him on Twitter that I'm going to put my application in as soon as he's ready. But yeah, like those are the things that bother me about the internet. And that's why I don't like this current crop of being a wrestling fan, because if, and I said this to, to Dave plenty of times, and it sucks that me and Dave aren't going live anymore because I finally have the ammunition to prove to him that what I actually said for like the past 2 years has been true, that wrestling fans are becoming wrestling fans. And as soon as they go on wrestling, on wrestling Twitter and they start interacting with people, they see how toxic the fan base is and it can turn them off. Man, I wouldn't be surprised if Kat Dennings never watches another episode of professional wrestling ever again, just by the mentions that were the comments underneath the, her statuses. Wrestling fans can absolutely ruin professional wrestling for everyone. Oh, Base Up, that's still to this day one of my highest watched live streams is when I flipped out about that guy. Because here there's the WWE finally giving you, AJ, I couldn't agree more, by the way. Finally giving you a way to be interactive during a global pandemic, and you're going to, do stupid shit like that might make it all get taken down, that we can't even have this. Like, what kind of a pile of shit are you? Especially to get after somebody who charges were never pressed against him, and investigations were done and they found zero wrongdoing. What are you doing as human beings? You're ruining a human being's life. I don't want to get off on that tangent. These fans completely suck. And you're right. Social media brings out the worst in people. It really does. And I've tried, if you go on my Twitter, I've tried to cultivate this, this place where I just try to be as positive as I possibly can. As a matter of fact, even when I have negative things, I deleted so many comments about how many people were coming out and saying that, like, the WWE doesn't, is getting like a free pass now, and everybody's not gonna criticize them as harshly as they used to because Triple H is in charge. Man, AEW's been around for 3 years, and every single fucking time someone says anything negative about AEW, there are a billion accounts that come on. They're like, they're a 3-year company. Why are you getting so mad about them? They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna be upset. Like, you can't make fun of them. They're trying. They're really trying. Shut up. If WWE does something bad, everybody talks about it. If WWE does something good, it's every wrestling fan has the case of the yeah buts. Yeah, SummerSlam was good, but AEW's Forbidden Door was better. Yeah, even though Brock and Roman was an awesome match, Brock and Roman was an awesome match. Yeah, but I'm tired of seeing it over and over again. Yeah, WWE did Becky Lynch versus Bianca at SummerSlam, and the match ruled. Yeah, but I'm tired of seeing them wrestle each other. Like, everything is yeah, but when it comes to WWE. When it comes to AEW, God forbid you say anything bad, their fans come out with hey, the veteran, what's up, man? How are you? But everybody comes out with their pitchforks against you. It's like, God forbid you say that the ending of Jericho versus Kingston, which, by the way, I enjoyed the whole match except for like those couple of botches. I thought that it was a good match. I enjoyed it. But a lot of people criticized it. And then everybody flipped out. Oh, one mediocre episode of Dynamite. And now everybody's going to turn their backs. No one's turning their backs on AEW. We're just critiquing it. It's okay to say that the stupid friggin' match with Kingston and with Mox and Omega with the sparklers going off at the end sucked. It's okay to say that. It's okay to say that AEW's production isn't as good at hiding certain things, like referees holding ladders and guys falling off of obviously doctored things, off the top of the cell. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Don't get me wrong. Are there ways to do it better? Yes. Are there ways to shoot it better? Yes. That's it. I think it was awesome. Yes, Henny, I completely agree. I hate the spamming 6 kicks in a row and both guys fall down spots. I hate it. I hate it in NXT. I hate it when they do it in WWE. I hate it when they do it in AEW. I hate it on the indies. If you get hit with a super kick, you should fall down and sell. And if you want to get back up and hit him with a pump kick, make it make sense. But super kick, bounce off into the ropes, pump kick, bounce off into the ropes, lariat, bounce back into the ropes, big forearm shot, bounce back into the ropes, double head kick, both guys fall down. Doesn't make sense. It's dumb. I hate it. I get that people like it. I fucking hate it. It is my most hated thing in pro wrestling right now. If you get hit with a move, you should sell. And look, I'm even not the biggest fan of bumping and feeding, but at least you're bumping before you're fucking feeding. Like, damn, there's just little things about it that just piss me off. Everybody that sat there and said that the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks, which, by the way, you can ask my friend Andre and you can ask my friend Craig, who I watched a pay-per-view with. I was into that cage match so much, but even at a point where I was standing up because I was like, wow, this is insane. I can't believe the shit that these guys are doing. I stand up and immediately I sit back and I'm like, oh my God, he just got hit with a Canadian Destroyer. Why is he back up 2 minutes later? Come on. Yes, Inigo Montoya, it's funny that you said that and I named the Young Bucks match that it happened in. I don't like that shit. It just doesn't do it for me. But look, if that's your style, great. More power to you. You're going to get it there. I'm going to not enjoy AEW as much for that reason. That's fine. Oh, man, it's been 37 minutes already. All right. There's one other thing I want to cover before we go. We can get back into this for a little bit. I was going to say for about an hour, but I want to get this off my chest a little bit. Guys, can you let me know? Oh, believe me, FTR is my favorite thing going in professional wrestling. Can you guys, I just want to know, general consensus and opinion of the 8 people that I have in this stream, whoever wants to answer. Your opinions on the Jonathan Gresham situation with AEW / Ring of Honor. Just want to know where you guys stand. Because, man. Yeah, I will, AJ. I'll stay for the full hour. And then after that, I'm going to have to go because I'm already feeling that my voice is already getting shot. So I'm going to have to kind of like calm myself down just a little bit. But let me know what your opinion is on the Gresham situation. Harry Flynn! What's up? Okay, base up. That's fine. That's fine. But I just want to know what your opinion is about everything. So look, now if anybody doesn't know what's going on, so Jonathan Gresham was the Ring of Honor champion for about 300 days. Now during most of that period of time, Ring of Honor was inactive. So during that, then Ring of Honor got bought out by AEW, and Jonathan Gresham's main complaint seems to be surrounded more about that he doesn't feel that Tony Khan valued him as a wrestler or it came up to him and approached him and talked to him about anything throughout this entire time. And, and then he was made to lose his championship in the opening match of Ring of Honor's comeback. The Ring of Honor World title, by the way, was in the opening match of their pay-per-view. And he lost that title. Then he apparently went back and cursed out Tony Khan and, and said he wanted his release from AEW / Ring of Honor. I'm just going to preface it this way. There was a creative difference Gresham felt that he wasn't being utilized to his full talent. He went out, he did his job, he spoke up and said he wanted to leave. I can't tell you how many people I've seen shit all over Jonathan Gresham for the way he's reacted to this, and they're the same people who praise Sasha and Naomi. How is one situation different than the other? Except for the fact that Gresham actually went out and did his fucking job. He wrestled Claudio, put Claudio over, which, by the way, I'm not mad about. I believe that was the right decision to make. I don't fault Tony Khan for that. I think it was the right decision to make. But how can you praise Sasha and Naomi for standing up for themselves and then shit on Gresham? It doesn't make any sense. You can't sit here and tell me that. So here's the thing, Inigo Montoya. He never said I have never once seen that he didn't want to drop the belt to Claudio. I think that he said he didn't want to drop the belt because he doesn't feel like he was showcased, well enough to be put in a position as to where he would be shown that it was going to be good for him. I'm sorry, I got distracted by reading everybody's comments. But it was a positive. Like Gresham was like, you haven't given me an opportunity to shine. When Gresham was on AEW TV, it seemed like the only thing they cared about was putting him in random groups when he was already in a group, by the way. He has his own group in Ring of Honor. And he was taken out of that, put into a different group for no reason, and he went with it. And then he gets put into the ring because he's short with the tallest guy in AEW, just to show like a size comparison. They inexplicably turned him heel for whatever reason, and everybody's like, well, he doesn't have a character. Oh, so it's okay that like other people that are just really good wrestlers don't have characters, but it's not okay that Gresham doesn't? Like, if that's your fault with him, what's with everybody else who are just good wrestlers and don't really have characters? Look, I love Cesaro. What's Cesaro's character? That he's a great wrestler? Yes! Why is it okay that that's the case, but it's not okay for Gresham? It's hypocrisy. So, Henny Powers, I don't understand that. So what? It's not okay. It's okay that people are mad that Gresham's short. Darby Allin looks like he weighs 98 pounds, and he's in the ring, and people are saying it's believable for him to go up against a guy like Brody King, who's 300. Why is that okay, but it's not okay for Gresham? It doesn't make sense to me. And base up, yes, I agree. And Harry, you're right. There was no build for that match. It was just, hey, Claudio's back. Guess what? He's never won a world title. We're going to put him in a world title match. I don't blame Gresham for being mad. Yes, Kaido, you're 100% right. Well, is there... Look, there are people. Look, I love the heel gimmick of Gresham, but let him keep the foundation. I agree! Why would they take it away from him? It was the coolest thing. And the fact is that the biggest part of his personality was him being in the foundation. He had the big, the squid mask and everything like that. Like, he was cool looking. Yes, Henny, he did lose, but I'm saying it was okay that he was believable. The thing about it is that people are ragging on Gresham for being small, saying it's not believable for him to be there, but nobody has a problem with Darby. I mean, let's face it. Most of the guys that are competing in the heavyweight division in AEW, a lot of them aren't even over 200 pounds. Bryan Danielson's not. Wheeler Yuta's not. Daniel Garcia's not. I mean, Moxley looks like an actual champion. Most of the ROH guys, I mean, almost everybody in ROH hasn't looked good. And that's the thing. If you're going to rag on somebody for being smaller, keep it going for everyone else. The fact that Gresham has dealt with all of this shit when he did exactly what other people have done and gotten praise for, and I'm not even just going to sit here and say anything about Sasha and Naomi. Let's dial this back. Neville, when he left WWE, when he walked out, he didn't want to lose the Cruiserweight Championship to Enzo. Everybody was saying that was fine. No one had a problem. No one said shit When Punk walked out, everybody praised Punk for walking out. Now, where's Punk's support? How about that tweet that he put out? If someone, and about Sasha and Naomi, remember, if your employees have an issue, you always get their back no matter what. You always get their back. Where was the tweet in support of Gresham? I didn't see one. Is that not hypocrisy at its finest? This is, again, just another instance of this toxic and tribal mentality that everyone gets because Gresham had an issue with Tony Khan. If this was Vince McMahon, everybody would tell them, would be like, Vince is a piece of shit. He sucks. Now, we've all heard that there's been horrible communication, between AEW higher-ups and wrestlers. It's been said that Brian Cage has said that the communication was bad. Joey Janela said the communication wasn't there. Marco Stunt said that there was bad communication. There's been multiple people who said there hasn't been good communication between the upper people. Harry, I haven't heard that. But let's talk about wrestling. I got 15 minutes left. Let's just keep talking about wrestling. One of these days, I'm going to return to Dave's streams, and we'll get back to all the goings-ons there. But here's you have somebody like Gresham. Oh yeah, no, I agree, Richard Lee. But if you're gonna sit there and you're gonna feel one way for something, feel it for every way. It's not fair that you're gonna sit there and rip on Jonathan Gresham because he has a problem with Tony Khan, which we all know everybody just is gonna love and defend everything that Tony Khan does because he's Tony Khan and he owns AEW and he can do no wrong. Why? But if that was Vince, everybody would be flipping out. We know that there's been communication issues. This is something that needs to be addressed. So why not address it? We're at 13 now, base up. This might be one of the highest ones. But yeah, that's and 6 likes. You guys are kind of killing it here. I'm not gonna lie. But that's my thing. If you're gonna hold WWE accountable for how Sasha and Naomi felt that they weren't being booked correctly, and you're okay with them walking out, dropping their titles on the table and walking out, but you're not okay with Gresham saying, I don't like the way that I'm being booked, taking his championship, walking down the aisle with it, putting on an 11-minute match that he can probably, Drew Sinister, what's up, man? How are you? That he's probably, as proud of as he could possibly be, on an opening match on Ring of Honor's return to pay-per-view. Look, Briscoes versus FTR should have been the main event. But to open with the world title match, if I was Gresham, I'd see it as the shot at me too. I don't see where Gresham's wrong in this situation at all. The best thing is that there's been a lot of reports that he said something along the lines of, like said something about his PWI status, like where he was on the PWI 500. Be like, I'm one of the 20 best wrestlers in the world, ranked as one of the 20 best wrestlers in the world, and you're disrespecting me. And people getting on him about that. Meanwhile, these are the same people who are sitting there and going nuts about fake star ratings. You can't have it one way and have it the other. Base up, I completely agree. And Henny, you're 100% right. That's what it is. Here we are, fickle wrestling fans, once again having to defend the guy that they like the most. We all know that, look, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. The tide's going to turn, and pretty soon, WWE is going to get that same thing happening to them because people are going to go absolutely crazy for everything Triple H does. And the second that somebody comes out and says something negative about him, they're going to turn on the talents. They're not going to turn on the company because Triple H is in charge, and that's what they want. The only reason why Naomi and Sasha are being viewed as brave and admirable for setting up themselves was Vince and Easyville in the cast. 100%! Fall, you're 100% right. I couldn't agree with you more. Vince has always been, maligned, and he's always been looked at as a villain. Now that he's, that Tony Khan's in charge and everybody else sees him as like this savior to pro wrestling because he's giving them the type of wrestling that they want. All of a sudden we can't critique and we can't say anything negative. And look, I don't know what the situation is. Maybe Tony Khan was absolutely professional. He was great. Maybe Gresham was in the wrong. But with the facts that we've been given, from the stuff that's been laid out, it's a very similar situation on both sides. And everybody backs up, and not everybody, but a very large majority of people back Sasha and Naomi, and a very large amount of people shit on Gresham for what he did. So yeah. And Ego, yeah, you're 100% right. Oh, Harry, of course it is. It's kayfabe rankings. And even if it's a bunch of people, doing it, it still doesn't hold as much, like it's all opinion based. There isn't anything you can do to do it because wrestling's predetermined. You can say that, okay, these guys are the best because they were put in this position to be the best, and that's it. Like, Roman should be number one because he's been the world champion for 700 days. And he's been unbeatable. Gresham was Ring of Honor world champion for that long. Of course he's going to be high on that list. And look, Fall, don't get me wrong. Don't get me started on that. I still don't understand the whole situation. And maybe I won't, ever. Sasha and Naomi might be on their way back. And I think it's a great bump for WWE. And I hope they do come back. But I'm not going to, sit there and think that it's okay that they walked out. I don't think that made sense to me. And, the thing is that you're asked to do a job. And if your job was, if Vince says, hey, I need you to walk out, I need you to win these matches, I need you to lose to Ronda, I need you to lose to Bianca, and then we're going to go back and we'll concentrate on those tag titles again. And you say, no, that's not working for me. And you hand your titles out and you walk. I mean, kind of BS, in my opinion. I mean, you're asked to do a job. And look, if that's what they wanted to do, that's fine. They left. They walked out. They got out of the situation they didn't want to be in. Gresham wanted the same thing. He felt he wasn't being used the right way. And we know that Tony Khan publicly has called out talents when they have problems with him. The Big Swole situation, which he never apologized for, by the way. Are we going to sit there and forget that Tony hasn't been a pillar of controversy? But what? It's only been a couple of years and he hasn't cheated on his wife as far as we know, so he gets the benefit of the doubt. But Vince McMahon, has been around and he's gone philandering, so now everything he's ever done professionally has to be, taken out, and he doesn't deserve any credit for it because he cheated on his wife. Like, what does one thing have to do with the other? All right, we got like 8 minutes left. If there's anything else you guys want to cover about the world of wrestling, let's dig into it. Those are the big things. Just this wrestling fan toxicity has been, absolutely ridiculous. Cesaro was made for the IC title. Dave and I have said it multiple times. We have no idea why it was never put on him. It's a workhorse title. That's exactly who he was. So Fall, I agree. Oh, King Kaito, you're probably right. They probably just be like, oh, there we go. Tony Khan's the man. Gets Jungle Boy still a boy. Tony Khan's the Jungle Man. I guarantee that to be all the memes. Based up, I want to say Cody because he hasn't won it yet. I want to see Drew win. Here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Drew win at Clash of the Castle, but only one belt is put on the line. Whatever one, I guess the Raw belt. And Roman then, maybe that means that Drew has to hop over to Raw. I don't know what the semantics would be, but I want Roman to keep the title that he's had for the 700 days. But get one of the titles off them and put it on Drew at Clash of the Castle. Now a major chink in the armor of Roman Reigns. And then, when Cody does come back and can win it, then you can have Cody get his moment there too. Roman is still so dominant that two people can have their moments against Roman. And Richard Lee, I don't think he will. I think Drew is loved by a lot of the guys on top. Remember, Triple H put the title on him in NXT very early. So we're not going to sit here and think that Triple H isn't going to want to put him over. Inigo Montoya, look, I kind of agree. I like Tony Khan, I like his product, but as a human being, the way he carries himself, he's very off-putting to me. The whole, I am now the longest tenured CEO in the U.S. Hey, he's wrong, because Impact has been around, and Ed Northholm has been a CEO much longer than he has. And I believe Court Bauer's been there longer in MLW than he has at AEW. But look, it's Vince McMahon. Even people who didn't like Vince McMahon put up like, hey, big ups to Vince for what he did for the pro wrestling world. Just be respectful. That wasn't hard. Look, I want nothing but the world for Cody. If that Hell in a Cell match with Rollins is any indication of how much that Cody loves this business, you can't hate Cody. And I don't even care. He can talk about his daddy and cry in every fucking promo for all I care from the here on out. Cody bleeds professional wrestling. If you can't see that, then you're blind. He deserves everything he gets. Every flowers, all the flowers. Yes, Billy Corgan too. You're 100% right. But he deserves all the flowers that he gets. Cody is a man's man. He's a wrestler's wrestler. He cares so deeply about the professional wrestling industry, and he cared so much about his legacy and his father's legacy. He left the company that he built to go back to the WWE to win the championship his dad never got a chance to. Cody is a fucking man. He is the man. There's nobody that's going to ever convince me that Cody Rhodes is not like a pillar of professional wrestling for the things that he's done. So yeah, I want Cody to win the world title. I mean, that's as plain as I can get it. In the last couple of minutes, a lot of people have been talking about like guys that we could possibly see come back to WWE, guys and girls. Originally, that's going to be tough. Yeah, based up, Rollins is in a weird place. I think that Rollins will get his just due in a little while. Once this Roman, thing is done and Roman isn't, the sole champion, he's not on top, Rollins will win a world title pretty soon after that, in my opinion, and he deserves it. And fall, maybe it's not. But I think that it has a lot to do with it. There are a lot of guys that there's a lot of guys that are very, very well past due for a world title run. The hard thing is you can't put it on everybody at once. But, there are a lot of guys that everybody so Inigo Montoya, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. Triple H was the guy who really put his a lot of backing behind Bray Wyatt initially with the with that Bray Wyatt character in NXT. Man, my voice is really starting to hurt. Thank God I only got 3 minutes left of this. So, I mean, if anybody can bring Bray back, I think it could be Triple H and push him to the moon. I think Gargano might come back. I think that there are a lot of people that, Triple H, helped cultivate their careers in NXT. We've seen Harry, again, you took the words out of my mouth. Killer Cross wants to come back. But there are a lot of guys that, that Triple H may not have been big fans of that we might not see come back. The first guy that pops into my mind, Matt Cardona, has said that, he and Triple H never really saw eye to eye about a lot of stuff. And maybe, he wasn't the biggest supporter of somebody like Matt Cardona. And Cardona is, right now, one of the biggest guys in the indies as of right now. He's completely reinvented himself and has become like a mainstay on the indies. And he's probably more over right now than he ever was. And that's including the time where he was super duper over in WWE when he wasn't even on TV. So, that might negate seeing a guy like Cardona come back. Who was a big supporter of Matt Cardona? Vince McMahon. We'll see. Based up, I don't know. We'll see. It's hard. It's hard to tell. I think that if he comes back and he's allowed to have more control of that character, I think it'll be fine. And I think with Triple H there, I think that you're going to see that. Now remember, Triple H said he wants ideas from everybody. So, if that's going to be the case, everyone who's in WWE now has this idea, has the opportunity to go up to Triple H and pitch ideas and to try to, get more stories out there. And look, there are very small tweaks that Triple H can make to WWE that'll make it so much better. That'll make the show more watchable. Just go back to the presentation, a lot of presentation stuff with the Attitude Era. Make things have gravitas. Make things feel more important than they ever have been. Make the shows feel must watch every week. Keep a thread starting from the beginning of the show and go all the way back to to the end of the show. Little things that can be done that'll make it all the more better. Based up, I never want to see ECW resurrected again. It was done once and it was done bad. I never want to see it again. All right, but Richard Lee, I don't blame you. But he probably taken it as a compliment. I mean, let's face it. A lot of these guys, you see, like guys like Cardona and Cross, like their wives all have like OnlyFans and stuff like that. They're not scared of letting other people see how attractive their wives are. I'm sure that if you went up and said, "Hey, I think Scarlett's one of the most beautiful women that's ever lived," he'd probably be like, "Yeah, me too. That's why I married her." But that, I mean, hey, look, that's up to you. I'm certainly not gonna go up there and tell him I have a crush on his wife. Hey, Base Up. The next time you see my friend Andre, if he ever appears on mine or Dave's streams, talk to him about that. He thinks Sean Spears is the luckiest man in the world. Oh, Tennille's in a relationship too. Good for her. I know she was in a relationship with some guy, and it looked like they broke up. And look, I want happiness for everyone. I'm happy. My girlfriend's beautiful, and I love her. So I wish everybody had that same, sort of relationship in their lives. But guys, as you can hear, my voice is starting to suck. So I'm going to get going. So thank you guys for sticking with me. Now that this is over, at the end, I'm just going to let you guys know the reason why you guys haven't gotten a lot of new stuff is just that my legs has been, my life has been absolutely crazy. Fall, me and David talked about it. We're going to try to figure some stuff out to do things again. So I'm going to do my best to finish editing the piece that I'm in the process of. But as far as new stuff, I can't record until I'm completely over this whole thing. Thank God, Kaido, it wasn't COVID this time around. It's just a really bad cold. But I'm going to do my best. I'm going to rest my voice for the rest of the night. And, hopefully by next week, I can start recording some new stuff. I have a couple of things that need to happen with my apartment that will better benefit me to start making new content. But I have some stuff in the bag right now that I am working on. So I will not eat my Hogan vitamins, Space Up, but I will take my vitamins. And I will. And I really don't pray, but maybe I'll say my prayers. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all the likes. I love you all for that. I know that I promise this all the time, but new content will be coming out soon. I'm in the process of editing some stuff, but once things start getting completely settled, probably September, October, we're going to start seeing a much bigger turnout of videos for me. So thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for the likes. Thank you guys for, always interacting with me in here and on Twitter. I love all you guys for it. Thank you for everything. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you again. And this has been Albert Albanese for the Slam Sessions.